What's at stake in this election? Whoa, it's packed with some stuff. So 32 days. 32 days.
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes. Never let anyone take your joy from you. I call myself a joyful warrior. Should never again have the privilege of standing behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again.
Should a woman ever run for president? You know, I was thinking before, how can I construct this video? And then, of course, Michael Malice comes in with a clutch shot and basically does that for me with this banger of a tweet. Officer Harris isn't the nominee of the Democratic Party. She's their mascot, which is brilliant and accurate. So let's be honest here, people. Kamala Harris embodies everything that is wrong with modernity. A prototype OnlyFans employee that failed her way ever upwards. An outdated DEI model that epitomizes every variable short of gay that resulted in it becoming the death of everything it touches. Except for Willie Brown, but I digress. Let's point out the obvious here, people. No population of majority ethnically European males wants to be ruled by a female, let alone one that doesn't share the same ethnic stock. And let's not get started on the word salad stupidity over here. This is a woman that was polling in single digits in 2020 and dropped out of the race before it even hit her own state. You would think then that after she was essentially MIA for the last, 2 years or so after one too many cackles in the face of foreign dignitaries, that she would have learned not to behave like a total jackass, but no. Which begs the question, what the hell has she been doing for the last, 24 months or so? After a disastrous debate performance by Biden, she was essentially cooed in by the higher-ups of the Democratic Party. Hello, Pelosi, you drunk. Ironically, subverting democracy to save it. And then again, the Democrats have never been ones to shy away from hypocrisy. Ever since then, as Stick said, it's the Kasich effect. She got a brief bump pretty much because she wasn't old and senile. Or old, rather. If we go by Judge Joe Brown's assessment, she has early-onset dementia. And frankly, if her conduct is anything to go by, I think there might be a case for that, but anyway. And from that moment till now, damn near every instant she's went in front of a camera, she's become more and more known as a vacuous, blithering imbecile. And there's something incredibly demoralizing about her incompetency. Even those words are too grand to describe her nitwittery. I think I said this before, the most adequate word to describe her is nincompoop, because there's this almost childish level of ignorance about her. She constantly talks like a child trying to fake a book report. It's embarrassing. She's effectively the symbol of a failing empire in that regard. She's now in this precarious position, and anyone with an IQ above room temperature can tell she is woefully inadequately prepared or qualified to be in this position. She's hid from the press. When she did encounter them, she was so scripted and fake it required multiple takes. Off the cuff, she is so horrendously stupid the cringe actually causes pain. This visceral gut reaction of, get away from me. The main thing she inspires is revulsion, much like Obama, who is effectively trotted out to play the manager of the plantation, who chastises the blacks for not being team players, aka stay on the field, know your damn place and do as you're told. Slightly patronizing that is, I don't know about all of you guys. And can I just add, I absolutely despise Barack Obama. He's one of the most shamelessly conceited wankers in all of politics. The man stood on stage and took credit for the Trump economy, saying all he did was give tax breaks to people who didn't need it. First off, dumbass, the executive does not control the purse strings, Congress does. You don't control your ass from your fucking elbow, sunshine. And by the end of your first term, even Stephanopoulos cited a University of California, Berkeley study that found 95% of the income generated over the course of 3 years went to the top 1%. I even recall doing a video several years ago that income inequality actually grew under his watch, faster than his 3 previous predecessors. But like Michael said, Harris is not the candidate, she is the mascot. I think even Trump said this, the election is not against her, it's against the machine.
Look, we're running against not her, we're running against a very powerful and a very corrupt machine. That's what it is.
That's right.
She's just, and the same thing with Joe Biden. Joe doesn't know where the hell he is.
And something hit me watching a 60 Minutes interview, specifically this bit.
Let me tell you what your critics and the columnists say.
Okay.
They say that the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for. And I know you've heard that.
You know, I realized through watching just that clip, I can debunk most of why democracy does not work. I'll try and do a TLDR here. Democracy is supposed to be the will of the people. Well, if that's the case, why should I care what any politician really believes? In theory, they're supposed to be the embodiment of somebody else's will. What they believe should, technically speaking, be irrelevant. Which begs the question, what if the people are really stupid and what they want the politician to do is something really dumb? Take, for example, Medicare for All, which she wisely discarded. Let's take a moment to process that. You want to give the state the power over resources and the handling of medicine for a nation of over 330 million people. There's a line by Thomas Sowell I quite like where he was asked about what rhetoric around election time is particularly pernicious, and he said, "The idea that what Americans can't afford directly, we can somehow make cheaper by employing a government bureaucracy on top of existing medical costs." Which is true. The people who vote for this have absolutely no clue what this would look like in practice, the cost or the effectiveness. Anything they claim on the subject is based on some other so-called study or breakdown they read on some website that no doubt intends to sell it to the reader. So not only is this bestowing upon the state an ungodly amount of power, there's no feedback loop for the average person to account for its effectiveness or frugal responsibility. And you're not even factoring in the amount of people who would abuse and otherwise bloat the system with frivolous niggles because they can. Add to that a virtually porous border and a political class that will no doubt use these resources in an effort to essentially buy voters by offering them medical care at the taxpayer's expense. Keep in mind, this is all one policy proposal. So let's say the politician is rather competent and actually tries their best to implement all of this. However, naturally, seeing as it sucks ass, this is an unworkable pile of wank and goes inevitably tits up. Using this as a baseline for our scenario is where normal human functions throw a monkey wrench in the theory of democracy. Look at this process like machine coding. 3 steps: input, process, output. If the process is solid and the output is arse, look at the input. The input in this scenario are the voters. Is the votary ever going to re-examine their choices? Hell no, that's never going to happen. They will always blame it on the politician and no doubt vote for another one that promises them the same damn thing. A human being, if they had any semblance of a functioning frickin' brain over here, would learn from their mistakes. However, in a democracy, if the votary never learn what they want is complete BS and you faithfully follow the will of those dumbass people, you're going to destroy the place. What is objectively better for the nation then, and frankly your career if you were a politician, not to mention your sanity, whilst still working within the theoretical confines of democracy, would be to represent better constituents. But politicians are not permitted to behave like normal human beings. They are the lovable buffoons who keep bashing their heads into brick walls, and God bless them for trying. It's demanded of them via their constituents. Or they are flip-flopping assholes because any semblance of independent thinking and going against the will of the moronic masses is seen as taboo according to the democratic ideal.
You see, that's the real threat to democracy, stupid people. That's the threat. Our biggest threat to democracy is stupid people.
From a purely as-theorized sense, Trump is objectively correct there, and Kamala Harris epitomizes that stupid, both as a person and her constituents. But let's discuss something more amusing, because I've been mulling this over in my noggin for quite some time now, and it just keeps getting funnier. Because ever since Kamala Harris returned to the scene, she got muscled in via the Democratic Party higher-ups. She continued to prove she's a blithering imbecile, and why she couldn't finish a damn primary race, let alone compete in a general. Like someone who used cheat codes in a game, essentially. And I was looking at the brief moments when Biden was allowed to leave his cage and tell the world that he's still alive. He still looks more competent than she does. And I thought to myself, did the Democrats maybe jump the gun by getting rid of him? Because why was Joe Biden ousted? Well, aside from being ancient, looking frail and, falling over, he couldn't speak. Very clearly, he doesn't look fit to do the job. Well, that, and I think he doesn't exactly inspire confidence down the ballot. But when you look at Kamala Harris, she has all of these same problems, just for different reasons. And she comes with even more baggage. Because unlike Biden, she's never won anything. She doesn't have the excuse of being old Joe and essentially a senile version of Mr. Magoo. She's shrill and deeply unlikable. She has no personality, and most unsurprisingly, she's really, really dumb. She's really, really dumb, and she has to distance herself away from the current administration whilst also being unable to formulate any coherent opinion on how she is any different than the current administration. This is damn near impossible for a skilled politician to pull off. Given her intellectual capacity, man, it's like releasing a drunken blind man into a forest of garden rakes. From this perspective, this strategy seems rather bizarre. But then I thought, well, hang on a minute. This is all contingent on the opinion that the Democrats intend to win in 2024. But what if, and by the way, I have no evidence for this is all just me speculating, so take it with a grain of salt. What if that is not the case? Let's say the Democrats looked at the debate and went, Trump is going to win in 2024. Trump is going to win in 2024, and whoever he beats, he is going to demolish their political career. Biden is 82 years old. He's done. He will be out of politics regardless. Father Time will ensure that he is gone. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, different story. She's been a deadweight diversity pick since day one. That, and she may or may not have had relations with one of Biden's sons several years ago. Allegedly, though I'm sure that is totally unrelated. If Biden were to lose, whatever is pulling for Kamala Harris will claim that, well, they could have won if she was the candidate. Naturally, this is not true, but that still won't make them shut up, unfortunately. Man, this video is going to age really, really badly if things go tits up. But anyway, whereas if Trump demolishes her, that'll be the end of her political ambitions. Now you can say, well, Trump won't be on the ballot next time. Well, that doesn't matter because it was her fellow Democrats that she couldn't even beat. She couldn't even finish a primary, let alone win one and make it two with a general. She will be gone. If you were the Democratic Party then, and seeing what an incompetent buffoon she's been as VP, do you really think this woman belongs anywhere near public service? No. This is why I said before, AOC is a more valuable asset to the party than Harris is, and isn't that just freaking terrifying? So maybe look at the post-debate decision through this lens. Maybe, just maybe, assume they know Trump is going to win, and they pull Biden out of the way, not to increase their chances of winning, but rather to knock Harris out of politics once and for all and clear out the deadweight. Why wouldn't they hold a normal primary? Are they really that conniving that they would purposely prop up a worse candidate? I don't know. This is a problem with an elite that seems entirely dysfunctional. Yeah, you can maybe gauge the overall narrative somewhat, but the finer details seem to be lost in the winds. I have about 5 people I listen to for regime analysis, and 4 of them have different opinions here. So we don't know, but Lord knows we may as well laugh because that's all we can really do here. So let's see what happens today. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.